Assalamu alaikum. I greet you with the greeting of Islam, the greeting of peace. This is a friendly message to Dr. Jordan Peterson. I just came back from Canada, by the way, and on the same day you were speaking in Montreal, I was also speaking there, but at a different venue. I wished to meet with you while I was there, but unfortunately I couldn't contact you. I was glad to see your video titled Message to Muslims, which is definitely a good step forward. And it's true that Muslims realized and appreciate the change in your rhetoric about Islam. I am sure that an academic scholar with your profile will accept advice, or let's say comments, on what he says. Though your speech was an advice, but it made some Muslims feel belittled, which I find to be a sign of arrogance and or ignorance on their part. Ignorance of the teachings of Prophet Muhammad, peace be unto him, about the importance of giving advice and accepting advice. In fact, among his teachings, he said that religion is, in essence, sincere advice. So, personally, I appreciate your advice. And although I believe you were sincere, yet parts of your speech were perceived by me and some of my friends, who also respect you, as offensive. Probably because you still lack information about Muslims' perception of some conflicts. For example, you advised Muslims to reach across the sectarian divide to Christians, or heaven forbid Jews, as you put it. However, you need to know that Muslims do not have problems with Jews for being Jews. Muslims have a problem with oppression, period. Our and your Palestinian brothers and sisters were told 74 years ago to leave their homes and villages for a couple of weeks, after which they would be able to return. Sadly, they were never able to return. Muslims have a religious and a moral obligation to support the oppressed against the oppressor, regardless of who the oppressed is or who the oppressor is. Prophet Muhammad, peace be unto him, said, "The best form of jihad is a word of truth in the face of a tyrant." He also said, "If one day you see my nation scared of telling a tyrant that he's a tyrant, then there is no hope in them." And guess what tyrants do? Tyrants kill. Yet, according to his teachings, that's not an excuse to act cowardly. I assure you that had the situation in Palestine been the reverse, it would have been an obligation upon every Muslim in the world to stand against the Palestinians, not with them. But that's not the case. Historically, Jews found a safe haven in the Muslim world from the Christian persecution in Europe. They flourished in Andalusia under the rule of Muslims. And after the Reconquista, all of them chose to move to the Muslim world. In fact, one of the closest advisors to Saladin, Salahuddin, the Muslim king who defeated the Crusaders and liberated Jerusalem, was Maimonides. Rabbi Moshe ibn Maimun, Maimonides, because he was a scientist. And scientists were held in great esteem in the Muslim world. I believe that if Galileo Galilei had lived in a Muslim country at that time, he would never have ended up in jail. Muslims have never had a problem with Jews. They just have a problem with oppressors, whether the oppressors are Jews, Christians, Muslims, or Hindus. And I assure you that if the world continues to watch the Palestinians being expelled from their land, and have their homes demolished and their trees uprooted, Muslims and people with morals will continue to support them until their last breath. The other part of your speech which I found dangerous was the part promoting the project of the Abrahamic Accords. All that glitters is not gold. A beautiful title like that can actually harbor a poisonous political agenda underneath it. So be careful, especially that some of the regimes sponsoring it are very repressive regimes. And I forgot to tell you that Sunnis and Shias, or Shi'is, have lived together for 12 centuries in many countries as neighbors, even as married couples. But the bloody conflict between them started less than 20 years ago with the American invasion of Iraq. Dr. Peterson, what I loved about your speech, titled Message to Muslims, which was broadcasted after another message to Christian churches, is that it became very obvious that you are doing your best to unite people of faith against the Luciferian ideology which threatens all of us on the sexual front, the familial front, the conceptual front, and on the psychological and sociological fronts, as you perfectly articulated it. I believe that you are the only one who can establish the bridge between Muslims and non-Muslims in that area. If you focus on uniting all efforts, let us work together on what we all agree upon. And let us at least postpone, if we cannot cancel, our squabbling about the differences which we always have and which we will always have. Because although we are all people of the book, we do differ big time on the theological front. For example, we all share the story of Adam and Eve and eating from the forbidden tree. However, the Islamic perception of this story is completely the opposite of the Christian perception. Not just different, opposite. And it will always be the opposite. But we can still unite our efforts in confronting the common danger which is jeopardizing the well-being of our children. It's actually jeopardizing the existence of our children. My brotherly advice to you is to focus on uniting efforts and bridging the gap between Muslims and non-Muslims so that we can quickly find a way to protect the coming generations. Thank you, and you have my respect.